We filmed this car test on Veterans Day, and during Veterans Week I went back east to visit someone in a medical facility, and they had a veterans display in the lobby, the most ridiculous, dumbest display I've ever seen. I had to get it on video. So watch this and we'll get back to the car test. This is the Wellington Wellness Center in Kingsport, Tennessee. I'm going to take you to the Memorial Day exhibit they have in the lobby. You have to see this to believe it. I'm not making this up. Stand by. This is the wildest display I've ever seen for Memorial Day. In remembrance of those who served our country, please feel free to add the name of a veteran on our board. Now we got an American picture. And we've got the German Wehrmacht picture. I am not making this up. This is the actual thing in this healthcare center. Unbelievable. Oh. We gotta go before I get caught filming this. They get upset. The German Wehrmacht. Unbelievable. So there you have it. A Memorial Day display honoring American veterans with pictures of Nazis marching through France. And you thought you'd seen everything. Okay, enough of that. Now we'll start the vehicle testing. By the way, do you like my jacket? Too bad I can't fit in it anymore. This is the 2016 Scion IA. And on our right, its bigger brother, the Scion IM. We'll be switching back and forth to look at both cars during this review. So to start, we'll switch over to the IA. I think we've seen this front nose design before. Scion IA and Mitsubishi Outlander. Looks like the same girl to me. And now that I think about it, didn't we see similar front end on the 2013 Hyundai Veloster model? I know it's not exact duplicate. It's not on the Mitsubishi either, but they are pretty close. And from the side view, it looks suspiciously like the Mazda 6 and Mazda 3 sedans. There's a reason for that. I'll let you in on a little secret. Scion doesn't make this car. Mazda makes this vehicle. It's called the Mazda 2. Mazda didn't want to go to the expense of introducing a new car in this country, and Scion was desperate for a new model, so they made a deal. Give them the Mazda 2, turn it into a Scion, and everyone's happy. Scion gets a car, Mazda gets to sell them. It's a good deal for consumers because Mazda makes good stuff. Everybody ends up being happy. Under the hood is a 105 horsepower 4-cylinder engine, rated at 33 mpg in the city and 42 mpg on the highway. An excellent 6-speed manual transmission is standard. For $1,000 more, you get this nice 6-speed automatic, which performs quite well, and it does have a sport mode button for better performance. Unusual on a tiny car like this. The materials and workmanship of the cabin, nothing fancy, but more than adequate considering the price range. No complaints. Room for 2 adults in the back seats. A very large trunk, and there is a spare tire underneath the panel here. Inside there's a nice gauge cluster, lots of useful information. A climate control system designed the way it should be, 3 simple knobs. A large glove box. On the dash we get the information screen with a control knob panel, unusual for a car in this price range. The only gripe we had with the interior had to do with the sun visors. They do fold down and fold to the side, but they do not slide, so you have this big gap on the side window that lets in sun on a hot day. They should know better, but this is just the way it is. Can't do anything about it. Before we do any driving, the first thing I want to do is test out these headlights in the dark, so we'll go to that right now. It appears we caught some rain, but we're going to take these Scion headlights out and test them anyway. These are the low beams from a distance of 100 feet, nice and bright, reasonably high. Now the high beams, plenty of light. On high beams, we're lighting up a warehouse 300 feet away, plenty of light. Low beams are barely reaching the building, very low, more than adequate for street use. Now that we've covered the basics, it's time to take it out for a ride. If you're wondering about the fuel consumption in the real world, I took this on a freeway trip, 65 miles per hour, and got 42.5 mpg. Brought it back in town, in mixed commuting, I'm getting 37.7. Hard to argue with that. Here's a fuel economy update. I was invited to a restaurant tonight, but was reluctant to go because driving 60 miles to eat isn't very practical. It can be expensive as far as gas goes, but I went anyway, and keeping it just over 60 miles per hour on the expressway and doing very little passing, I got 46.6 mpg. And I know it's accurate because the gas gauge only went down one notch. Naturally, with an outside temperature of 55 degrees, I was not running the air conditioning. And I can say this is the best gas mileage I've gotten on any test vehicle I've ever driven. That includes the diesel cars and any hybrid. Overall, the more I drive the Scion IA, the more I love it. Aside from the cheesy sun visors that I complained about earlier, I can't find anything to gripe about at all. This is a very nice car, and I'm very impressed. 105 horsepower doesn't sound like much. Remember, this is a light car at 2,400 pounds. And this transmission is very aggressive if you put it in the sport mode. Actually, acceleration of this vehicle is more than pleasant. Lots of pickup. And these brakes are absolutely perfect. The steering doesn't have much feel, but it's light and very responsive to inputs. No complaints here. I've noticed at certain angles the dash does reflect into the windshield, which is very annoying, but nothing serious. One complaint you often see on these small cars is a stiff, bumpy ride, but not here. This is a very comfortable suspension. Been driving it for 3 days, have no gripes whatsoever. This isn't a sports car, but it still takes corners quite well. As we can see on our little circle here, I'm not spinning out yet. Oh, now we're going. I've been driving the Scion IA for a week, and this is an excellent highway cruiser. Comfortable suspension, low wind noise, gas mileage in the 40 mile per gallon area. Nothing to complain about. The price of the Scion IA is $16,500 with the manual transmission, or $17,500 with the automatic. And that includes just about everything. Power windows, power locks, Bluetooth, the whole thing. Navigation, I'm told, is $400 more. That's about it. Less than $18,000. This is definitely one of the best small cars I've ever driven, and for the price bracket, $20,000 and under, it is the best car, period, and the best buy. You really should try this out if you're looking for a car in that price category. It's really that good. Now we can get back to the Scion IM and take a look at the styling. Just like the IA, front end is a copy from other designs. The IM is copied from another design as well, as we'll see in this next clip. It does have a slight resemblance to this 2016 Toyota Corolla. Resembling a Toyota Corolla on the front end isn't really a problem because underneath, most of the mechanics come from the Toyota Corolla. Engine, transmission, and a lot of the suspension pieces. The biggest difference here is the Corolla is a four-door sedan with a trunk. This is a four-door hatchback for those who need more room. And yes, we do get a spare tire under the rear. Along with 21 cubic feet of storage behind the rear seats, we get lots of room for a second row seating for full-size adults. In the front, we get a large glove box, a medium-sized storage compartment between the front two seats, followed by two large cup holders. The climate control system is a bit more complex than the 3-knob system on the IA, but still, it's easy to use, so no complaints. A few gripes, like on the other Scion, the sun visors do not slide, so you have this big gap in the window that lets the sun in to bake your face, like it's doing today. Second gripe, the typical Scion tiny tom thumb buttons that are very awkward to use when the vehicle's in motion. And my biggest gripe, this outdoor bodywork shelf that collects dirt, mud, and other debris and gets on your pants when you step out. I don't know why car makers put these on here. They serve no purpose whatsoever. Bottom line, you got to keep this clean if you want your pants to stay clean. And before we do any test driving or look at the engine, we're going to go out and test the headlights tonight. Let's go to that right now. So we'll take the IM out in the dark and see how these headlights perform. From a distance of 100 feet, we have the low beams on, more than adequate for city driving. High beams aren't that bright, but they do reach out fairly well. Here we have the high beams on a warehouse 300 feet away. The light isn't that bright, but it does reach out quite well, so that's okay. Low beams touch the building about a foot high. These aren't the strongest headlights I've ever used, but they're more than adequate. The engine of the IM is straight from the Toyota Corolla parts bin, 1.8 liters, 137 horsepower, available with a 6-speed manual at 27 mpg to 36 mpg, or a CVT automatic at 28 to 37 mpg, at least according to the EPA. Ours had the low performance CVT automatic, but it does come with a sport mode button for those who want to drive faster. I've been driving this for 3 days. My best mileage on the expressway is 65 miles per hour, and the air conditioning off was 33.5 mpg. In a mixed city freeway commuting, running 26.5 mpg. And I know it's pretty accurate because that's exactly what I got on the Toyota Corolla I drove about 5 months ago with the same engine transmission combination. But we got more driving to do, so we'll check the figures as we go along. Now it's time to take the IM out for a little spin. Not the fastest car I've ever driven, but people don't buy these for speed. They buy them because they're made by Toyota and run forever. Superb brakes, by the way. Even though this car is based on the Toyota Corolla suspension, they did upgrade some parts so you get a much smoother, more comfortable ride. With a comfortable suspension and an aerodynamic body that produces very little wind noise, this IM is a very nice freeway cruiser. Good for long trips. With the automatic transmission and a few minor options, this car was just under $21,000. If you're looking for a quality Toyota product but need lots of room, this is definitely worth looking at.